What if I told you that Severus Snape's love for Lily Potter wasn't love at all, that it was a psychological addiction, a self-inflicted curse that destroyed not only his life but everyone around him? The story of Snape has been sold to us as one of redemption, of sacrifice, of a man consumed by love. But look closer and you'll see the truth. By the end of this video, you'll never see Snape's love the same way again. The wizarding world wants you to believe that Severus Snape was a tragic hero, a man who loved too deeply, who lived in pain, who died to protect the son of the woman he adored. We've been told to sympathize with him, to see his bitterness as loyalty, his cruelty as trauma, and his obsession as devotion. But what if that narrative is the ultimate manipulation? What if Snape wasn't a hero at all, but an addict, feeding off emotional pain, the way a drug addict feeds off their next hit? We mistake obsession for passion. We mistake endurance for virtue. But in psychology, obsessive love isn't love, it's limerence. A compulsive, consuming state where a person becomes addicted to the feeling of wanting someone they can never truly have. And Snape's entire identity, every decision he ever made, was shaped not by love, but by dependency. Ask yourself, why did he continue to serve a world that only reminded him of Lily's death? Why couldn't he move on, even decades later? Why did every kindness he showed Harry come wrapped in resentment and control? Because Snape wasn't healing, he was relapsing, again and again. His every act of so-called loyalty was just another dose of the same drug, Lily Evans. And the psychological evidence? It tells a completely different story. Evidence, addiction and control, the narcissistic fixation. Addiction isn't always chemical. Sometimes it's emotional, rooted in control. Snape's obsession with Lily wasn't tender, it was territorial. He didn't love her as a person, he loved her as possession. Notice how he idealized her purity, her kindness, her light. To an addict, the object of obsession isn't real, it's a symbol. Lily became Snape's identity, his reason to exist, his justification for cruelty. When she chose James, Snape didn't mourn her loss like a friend. He reacted like a rejected addict. He lashed out, humiliated her, and turned to Voldemort for power. In psychology, this is called narcissistic injury, when rejection wounds the ego so deeply that it triggers rage and self-destruction. His love wasn't selfless, it was self-centered dependency. 2. The gaslighting of the audience. For years we've been emotionally manipulated into admiring Snape. The films and books weaponize our empathy. We're shown flashbacks of him as a lonely boy, bullied by James, rejected by Lily, misunderstood by the world. It's brilliant emotional gaslighting because by humanizing his pain, the story blinds us to his abuse. Snape tormented children. He bullied Neville Longbottom, mocked his fear, destroyed his confidence. He publicly humiliated Hermione. These are behaviors of an emotionally unstable man, projecting his trauma onto anyone weaker. In dark psychology, that's called trauma reenactment, where the victim becomes the abuser, recreating their own suffering to feel control. Yet, we're told to forgive him because he loved. But that's the essence of psychological manipulation, excusing harm through emotion. Snape didn't protect Harry out of love, he did it out of guilt. Guilt that he caused Lily's death. His redemption wasn't moral, it was transactional. He wanted to erase his own sin, not save another life. 3. The potion of dependency. Classic addictive cycle. Look closer at Snape's behavior through the lens of addiction psychology. The cycle is unmistakable. Craving, high, crash, guilt, relapse. When he spies for Dumbledore, he feels a high, a sense of purpose, control, proximity to Lily's memory. When he sees Harry, he experiences a crash, reminded of his failure, of Lily's choice. The guilt becomes unbearable, and to cope, he returns to the one thing that keeps her alive, serving Dumbledore in her name. That's not heroism, it's dependency. Psychologists call this trauma bonding, a cycle where pain becomes the link between love and identity. Snape couldn't exist without his suffering because his suffering was Lily. She wasn't a memory, she was his addiction's anchor. For Dumbledore, the enabler. Every addict has an enabler, the person who supplies the illusion of meaning. For Snape, that was Albus Dumbledore. The wise old headmaster didn't heal him, he used him. Dumbledore exploited Snape's addiction as a weapon. "You disgust me," Snape tells him when forced to kill him. But what's truly disgusting is Dumbledore's manipulation. Dumbledore kept Snape hooked. He reminded him constantly of his debt to Lily. He offered redemption, but only through continued service. In psychological terms, that's coercive control. It's how cult leaders maintain loyalty, through guilt and emotional dependency. So, when fans say Snape was Dumbledore's most loyal man, understand what that really means. He was the perfect addict, forever chasing a ghost, forever too broken to stop. 5. The child as punishment. Harry and the ghost of the addiction. Harry Potter himself was Snape's relapse trigger. Every glance at that boy was a hit of both pain and pleasure. Pain because of James's face. Pleasure because of Lily's eyes. This split emotional reaction is textbook cognitive dissonance, the simultaneous pull of attraction and disgust. Notice how Snape's treatment of Harry mirrors the behavior of abusers who project unresolved trauma. He hated Harry's existence, but needed him to feel connected to Lily. That's not protection, it's parasitic emotional feeding. When Snape looks into Harry's eyes, he isn't seeing a student, he's chasing a drug. And yet the audience cheers for his redemption, because deep down, we want to believe love redeems. But psychology tells us something darker, unresolved addiction masquerading as devotion only spreads suffering. 6. The always illusion. The final relapse. The line always broke hearts around the world. But in psychological reality, it's terrifying. Always is the ultimate confession of addiction. It's the inability to let go, the eternal return to the same emotional fix. Snape died whispering the word that chained him for life. That wasn't love, it was relapse. To romanticize it is to glorify obsession, to confuse sickness with sacrifice. Always didn't mean forever in love, it meant never free. Snape's Patronus matching Lily's isn't proof of love, it's identity fusion, where one sense of self merges entirely with the object of fixation. His role as a double agent wasn't bravery, it was moral bargaining, a way to justify cruelty through selective guilt. His teaching style wasn't strict, it was displacement, a method of transferring personal rage onto innocent subjects. And his death wasn't redemption, it was withdrawal. His addiction ended only when his body did. The psychological manipulation goes deeper than any potion or prophecy. It's the human mind convincing itself that pain is proof of love. The horrifying truth is that Snape was never in love. He was enslaved by obsession. His redemption story is actually a study in emotional dependency and moral collapse. Every act that seemed noble was driven by compulsion. Every tear he shed was for himself, not for Lily. This isn't the story of love conquering death. It's the story of addiction masquerading as virtue. Snape wasn't protecting Harry for Lily's sake. He was protecting his last tether to the illusion that he was worthy of her. It's the ultimate self-deception, believing that endless suffering can cleanse the soul. But here's where it gets darker. We fell for it. The audience. We worshipped his pain, admired his sacrifice, called him brave. We became part of the manipulation, idealizing an addict as a saint. This reveals the darkest aspect of human psychology, our addiction to tragedy. We want to believe in the beauty of brokenness, because it makes our own pain feel meaningful. But Snape's story doesn't teach love, it teaches entrapment. The cruelest truth is that Snape never loved Lily. He needed her, and when love becomes need, it ceases to be love at all. So, what does this change for you? Does it make you see Snape differently? Not as the noble martyr, but as the embodiment of emotional addiction? Because once you understand this lens, you start seeing it everywhere in the wizarding world. Dumbledore's manipulation, Harry's saviour complex, even Voldemort's lust for immortality. Every story in Hogwarts hides a psychological dependency. Severus Snape wasn't devoted, he was consumed. His tragedy isn't that he loved too much, it's that he never learned how to stop, and maybe that's why his story hurts so much. Because it forces us to ask how many of our own loves are really just addictions dressed in poetry. Share this video with other Harry Potter fans. They need to see what's really beneath the legend. Because this is just the beginning of the psychological darkness hidden in the wizarding world. Next time, we uncover how Dumbledore used moral gaslighting to control the entire war itself.